Welcome, friends, to episode 3 of the Mount Rushmore show with your hosts, Aaron from Value Vintage Cards, and my good friend,
Jason, everyday card collector. Hey, everybody.
Excellent. Today, what are we covering, Jason?
We are going to do the top 4 or the 4 greatest St. Louis Cardinals or Cardinals of all time.
Yes.
So another one that I thought was a slam dunk, and after doing a little research, kind of switched things up. But I think we have the perfect guest for that, so it works out well.
Yeah, hopefully he can give us the right answer. So
right, exactly.
Let's go ahead and bring him in and let him join us, and we'll get rolling here.
There he is. Billy, how are you, my friend?
Good, fellas. How are you?
Very good. Very good.
I appreciate you having me on for this. I can't promise you that I will give you the right answer, but I will give you my answer. That's for sure.
Well, that's the great thing about this show, Billy. Whatever answer we give, we collectively decide at the end of the day it's right, and that's just what it is. So you're going to be right no matter what.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Until somebody in the comments proves us wrong. But hey, we'll do our best, right?
Right. You want to go over the concept of the show real quick? Just a heads up. I know this is episode 3, but you want to run through it, Aaron? Or?
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect.
Great idea. So basically what we do is we get together and we share our top 4 of any given topic. We've covered positions, we've covered teams, we've covered cards. We're going to cover some eras. We'll cover different things. So today we're going to cover St. Louis Cardinals. I will say I was going to push the limits when you initially signed up. We were saying St. Louis. I'm like, there's the Browns, but we'll stick Cardinals. Yep. Cardinals is our definition. So basically, we're going to go through and share our top 4. We'll show a few cards, 3-4 cards of whatever we choose. If other folks on the panel here agree, we'll also show those. If we disagree, maybe we pull them as our honorable mentions, and then at the end, we'll show kind of who was in the running but didn't quite make it on the mountain. So that's our fun, and really it's just about hanging out and having a good time. So
that's right. Perfect. And who starts us off? The guest. Billy, always. You get to start us off. Pick whichever you want for the beginning of your Mount Rushmore.
No pressure.
Yeah.
So in order to keep my feeble brain on track, I decided to do this in reverse order. So I'm going to start out with number 4 and work my way up to number 1. So that way I don't get all jumbled up.
Perfect.
So number 4 for me is maybe a little controversial to start. I'm going with Hoot, Bob Gibson at number 4.
Okay.
So here's a 64 Topps Giants.
Beautiful card.
Yeah, super cool.
I have his 64 Topps.
Ooh, 7.5. Look at you little number snob.
Thanks to my buddy Tom from Jeff City. This was
of course,
in the car on the way back from the national deal, I think.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Very nice.
And then his 63 Topps.
Love it. Love that card.
That's a great set.
Yeah,
it is. And then for me, really the creme de la creme is his 60 Topps that I got from my buddy Chris from Missouri.
Man, high numbers. Look at you. My goodness.
Well, this one was ungraded, and I sent it in, and it came back a 7.5.
I actually remember that episode. You showed it. I kind of remember. You did an episode on that, didn't you?
I think I've shown that card in every episode on my channel.
Right. And didn't you have another one? And you had another version of the card, right? You had another example of a card?
Of that one, of the Bob Gibson? No.
Okay, I'm trying to think. You had 2 cards of something. I remember
Brooks Robinson and Harmon Killebrew. I bought ungraded off of them too.
Gotcha. All right, well, so easy enough. So your number 4 is Bob. I will slide in, and I will say that I 100% agree with you. My number 4 was also Bob Gibson. I don't know how controversial it'll be. It maybe as we go through, keep continuing on, it might be. But I did a little jockeying from what I initially thought I was going to do. So I've got a couple things. I've got a 69 Topps, pitching leaders, 69. See that there. Got a 71 pitching leaders. A couple of 3 Hall of Famers on there.
Yeah, I love those.
I've got the 72. That's beat to heck, but I love it. 73. There. And then we've got the highlights card. I also have, but not in a 7.5. I have it in a 3.5. It's his second year card. And then the one that I love the most, believe it or not, it was cheap, is the 70 Super.
Yeah.
And looking at his numbers, I mean, there's one thing to consider on how dominant of a player that he was. They changed the game because of the man, right? They lowered the mound. So when they start changing what they're actually doing in the rules because of the dominance of one particular player, how does he not make your Mount Rushmore? I jotted some stuff down. He's an 89, just over an 89 WAR, 251 wins in a 16-year career, one MVP for a pitcher, which is phenomenal, 2 Cy Youngs and an ERA title. That's pretty solid. That's a pretty solid, pretty solid career. Under 3 ERA, 2.91 ERA for his career. So I'd say that garners definitely a Mount Rushmore on most teams when you look at those numbers.
And if I can jump in real quick, what's interesting to me, really interesting about the 69 season when Bob Gibson's numbers were just stupendous, is that there were many, many pitchers across the big leagues that had career years in 1969. But Bob Gibson gets all the credit. And I mean, I'll gladly give it to him as a Cardinals fan.
Right.
But if you look across baseball, there were all the top guys had their career best season, it seemed like, in 69.
Yeah. It was a year of the pitcher for certain, right? So.
Yeah, that was Dan McLean's 31-year victory season as well.
Correct. So. Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, it's interesting that was your guys' number 4 because I would have put him 3rd if I was ranking, which I don't do, but we'll just say I did. And I will, full disclosure, I am not a team fan, but I'm a player fan. So I got my Musial shirt, which this is actually super cool. I don't know. You guys should have questioned where I even come up with this. My brother-in-law works for the Cardinals doing security during games.
Really?
So he gets all these giveaways. Like, yeah. So I got a friend on the inside. So I'm becoming more and more of a Cardinals fan. So
you have to be. And then when the Sox leave Chicago, then I'll be a full-blown Cardinals fan.
Oh yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah.
I know what it's like, Jason. I've lost 2 teams.
Right.
Not in baseball, but.
All right. So then, who was your 4?
So my
are you going to show some?
I'll stick with Gibson.
All right. Perfect.
Yeah, I'll show some Gibson. So I pulled a auto relic kind of card, but I thought it was just cool. It represented him playing basketball.
That is very cool.
He had a pretty gosh darn impressive basketball career as well, and probably could have been pro for a while. He played with the Globetrotters, right?
I didn't know
that up.
That I did not know. That's crazy.
Globetrotters.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a true thing for at least a few minutes. I did pick up a couple of his autographs, so just newer cards. That one's an on-card auto, but you get some really cool poses and get to document that. I do like those because it does show all the crazy stats for his career on the back, which you can baseball reference that and get that, but it's neat to have. And I did pull a couple cards too. I'm glad we all pulled different cards. I thought the 62 kind of crazy for no pre-discussion. We just all kind of grabbed different things. I grabbed the 62 and then I did grab the Pepto. So
do you have the Pepto, Billy?
No, I had it for about 45 minutes at the National.
That's right.
And it went bye-bye and became Hank Aaron.
Right. That's right. I knew that actually. When the minute I said it, I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's not a bad swap.
Right.
So good. So Bob Gibson's the right answer.
Yes, Bob Gibson's the right answer. I had him at 4, but Billy, you and I are I'm on the same number as you. So, well, then we'll let you swing back the other way, and you can start, Aaron, with who your next pick would be then, I guess, or your number 4.
Well, let me get this one off the board because this is going to be giving away the answer. If I can stretch and show you guys my shirt real quick. Not too mysterious. I think if you're doing a Cardinals list, unless you're doing worse players, you'd have to put this guy on the list. So I will go with Stan the Man. 3,630 career hits, 1815 at home, 1815 on the road. 331 career average.
Yep.
So 475 homers. So we were kind of running through some of the different stats. He had 9 top 5 MVP finishes. I think it was 3 firsts and 3 seconds.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's insane. And the year he missed for the WAR was following top 5 finishes on either side of it. So
Right.
call it 10 top 5 seasons. And had he hit 25 homers, he'd be at 500 and be in yet another club of insane, elite players.
25 away. And to me, that doesn't even mean that much. I mean, the numbers are just startling when you look at it.
Yeah, completely. The one year they said he would have won the Triple Crown, but he had a rain out home run.
Right.
By one. So just insane. But I pulled a few. I tried to find some stuff I haven't shown on my channel, but I think I showed everything I have of his. So
that's
just
winner.
A couple of pretty ones. The Red Heart. Yeah, that thing, I feel like the colors just glow, especially for a red St. Louis. Been showing a few of these since we just had Josh on anyway. We'll just honor the Venezuelan theme.
Yes.
Those are always going to be brutal, but at least I got it. So
yeah, exactly right.
This thing I bought ungraded, and I'm not Mr. Grading or anything, but I did send it in. I was pretty happy to get the Bazooka back with a 7 on it. So 63 Bazooka. And then
that's sneaky expensive. That card's sneaky expensive.
The little bazookas are, they can get ugly.
63s and 68s seem to kind of climb in value pretty quick.
And 59s, but
right.
Unfortunately, doesn't have one of those.
Of course.
Yeah. And then the other one that I feel like doesn't get enough attention is it's not just the exhibit, it's the Canadian exhibit.
Oh, that's cool.
The 53 Canadian, which those are way, way, way lower population than what you see with the traditional exhibits. So it's kind of a fun way to do it.
Wait, there's one card and one card that I was certain you were going to show and you didn't show it of Musial.
Oh, you want that? I mean, it's
it's
under my pillow most nights. So
that's what, you got to show that.
I got the Hunter. Yeah. Of course that's around. So I didn't want to cheat and do 5. But
I did about 2 hours of research on the Hunters shortly after your video. I'm like, okay, I think I texted you some cards going, what do you think about this on price? And what do you think of, as soon as your video came out, I'm like, I gotta look into this a little bit. So that was fun stuff.
Cool.
So you're kind of saying stands out there. That's you didn't number him, right? That was just.
I mean, he'd probably be 1 because of his time with the team too. There's 2 players that I think are their top 10 MLB, but
yes.
I think because of his time with team, you have to give it to Stan as the greatest Cardinal.
So I will swing back in the mid. I'm in the middle, and I do have Stan on my list. He was my number 1. So Stan was my number 1. I've got the 58 All-Star ungraded, his first Topps card. And then I've got this same card graded in a 4.5. I got that from my good friend Chris from Missouri while sitting in his basement drinking an alcoholic beverage with Billy and Chris. So
Nice.
And then I've got, of course, I love it. We've got a 60 ungraded. I probably should grade that. Got a 61. I think it's in a 5. And then the last thing I brought up, because I had less cards than I thought of him playing days. I bought this at a flea market for like $10, and I love this thing. And I've shown it on the channel a couple times. It's the Major League Baseball facts and figures from 1952, and he's on the cover. So I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
And there's also some pretty cool. I know we're talking about Cardinals, but some awesome photographs in here. Yogi. I think I did a Mini Minoso episode and had a picture of him in here. There's a Ralph Kiner. So just a real cool book. I mean, it's not in great shape. It's kind of beat up, but for $10, how do you go wrong? But much like you said, Aaron, he was my number 1. The stats, you rattled them off, mind-boggling, and we were chatting a little bit prior to jumping on. I can't believe how inexpensive his cards are based on that. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So it's craziness.
Yeah.
All right, Billy. So was Stan on? Oh, you're going 3-2-1 now, right?
Well, no, I'll go with you guys.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely. Stan was on my list. He's number one for me. I have some of the same cards that you do, but when I get to another one, I'm going to ask Aaron a question.
Sure.
So here's my 60 tops. This was a recent upgrade at the show in St. Louis.
That's the card I was thinking of, Billy, where you upgraded. It was the music. Okay. It was the music. Yeah.
And I don't have very many graded Stan Musials at this point. Here's a pretty cool one with Willie Mays.
I forgot that card sitting over here.
I love that card.
It's a great card.
And then here is the American version of the exhibit that Aaron showed.
Yeah.
And what I'm curious about is, other than on your flip, how do you know if it's Canadian or American?
Good question. So,
well, I mean, mine says made in USA.
Mine doesn't, that I can see. There's a couple things that I've noticed. One, the edge detail seems like it almost always has like a little bit run over, and I don't know if that's really a thing. But the biggest thing, if you look in the corner, let's see if it'll give me enough of a image. It might not. Up. That's why I'm not on the right screen. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
Right there. They put the number on the front. So I'm going to guess if you take a look at yours, you're not going to see the number on the front. No. I hope. Okay. Otherwise, what I was told is the key indicator is wrong. But yeah, these, and it's weird because they'll hide them in different spots. It's not always like upper corner. So I've got not even a half dozen probably of these issues, but yeah, they'll just kind of like slide it in here. It's just kind of like hidden by their foot. And it's like, you kind of look at it, looks the exact same. Like, 18, good. It's legit. But that's about it. And then the population just goes into the dozens instead of into the hundreds. So
okay.
It's nice and tough. Yeah, it's a good one.
New wrinkle in my brain.
Yeah, no kidding. Me too.
So far we're on the same page, right? Like Musial is pretty much number one for all of us. We both have Gibson up there. Here's where I think we may start to have a little variation. And it just depends to me really what your interpretation is of greatest Cardinals of all time.
Yeah.
So for me, it's pretty easily got to be El Hombre, Albert Pujols. So I would actually put him third above Bob Gibson for me. So this is his Topps rookie card. And then here's another version of his Topps. This is a subset card, Topps Stars.
Yeah, that's the one we saw at the show, Billy, where you said I should have nabbed that. I should have nabbed it up, and I didn't.
Yeah, I love that card.
It's a great card.
And then here's a Fleer Platinum that was a gift from Ben at Blick's Cards, which is awesome too.
Oh, that's very cool.
And then here I have a pair of 2011s. Here's his Cognac. And then here's his Diamond. I was looking for a Hope Diamond today on eBay because I would love to have that. Excuse me. I would love to have that, but I couldn't find one.
What's the number on that? Is that real, the Hope Diamond? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, it's a parallel.
Okay.
They're bluish.
Okay.
And I think they're numbered to like 60 or something like that.
What's the Cognac numbered at? Because I like that.
Those aren't.
Okay. Oh, yeah, really?
Neither one of them are numbered.
Okay. So you went Gibson 4, Pujols 3.
Yep. Musial number 1.
Musial number 1. So I'll swing it back then. I am on the exact same pace as Billy. Albert was my number 3. This is his second year card, as I do not have his rookie card. Tremendous numbers. Again, did it in modern time. Looking at the stats here, 101 over a 101 WAR, over 3,300 hits, 700 home run club. I mean, that's insane. Lifetime 296 average. Rookie of the year, 11-time All-Star, and 1 batting title. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You know, in an era, kind of came up in an era where you know, steroids were still questioned. I think this is that game in his last season where he actually pitched. So I saw this and nabbed it up. And then I'm not as up to date on the modern as Billy is, so I might not know the years exactly. This is a tops total. I've just got a bunch of you know, his math produced stuff. The Flare Ultra. I don't even know what this is. Upper Deck, I believe. Yeah, Upper Deck. Yeah, MVP. This is a cool card. Topps All-Star card. Shiny, as Pepino would say. All-Star. Hobby Masters. So a lot. I've got like 4. I'll show one more. This is kind of a cool card. Donruss. So, so I've got a lot of his, you know, lesser expensive stuff, but yeah, I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer, right? We all agree, or going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I rattle off some of the raw numbers, but for what it's worth, as it stands right now, I am right in line with everything you did, Billy. 1, 2, or 1, 3, and 4 are identical on my list. So
I'm guessing we'll probably be the same for number 2. Also.
I'm pretty certain we will too. You threw me for a loop. I thought, yeah. Well, we'll wait. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm guessing we are too. So.
And what's interesting about Pujols is really for his first 10 years of his career, the numbers he put up stand up against almost anybody in the history of baseball.
Yep.
Yeah. So if he would have put up those types of numbers throughout the entirety of his career, it would be hard to still have him at 3. But to me, who could you move him above unless you're just going purely by home runs and RBIs?
Right. And that's the whole thing. When you look at the totality of the stats, I actually, before I did the research, Musial was number 2 for me. Before I even did the research, I didn't have him at 1. I already had it in my head who was 1, 2, 3, and 4, and took someone off the list, and then actually flipped my 1 and 2. So for the record. So yeah. So I'm sorry, Aaron. Go ahead. You were going to show some.
No. My mind is blown. And you just found the weakness. For every, you know, Canadian exhibit I can find, I have nothing that's new and shiny unless it's like a Bob Gibson relic. So I think I have 2 Pujols cards, maybe.
That's fine.
Yep, I've got like second one. Yeah, I mean, I literally will just look up and be like, I need a card of that guy. Let me buy 1 card for $1.
Right.
And I have this random Upper Deck card, and I'm done. But yeah, I mean, that's just, I might do a relic auto or something, but
that's okay, Aaron. I will have, and Billy will have 50 Pujols cards worth $1 a piece, and then we won't have that one player that I'm sure you've got more of than we have combined. So we'll just leave it at that. So
okay, so maybe we do have the same list then. That's reassuring. I was really fearful you guys were throwing Ozzie Smith at me, but we'll see what happens here.
So, Aaron, and if we're snake drafting, like you're up next, but
yeah.
So if you put a number to Pujols, like how do you rank these 3 so far? Gibson, Pujols, and Musial.
So Musial first.
Right.
I just flip-flop 3 and 4. I would have put Pujols 4th. Only for the reason, like when Jason said he had a 101 WAR, he only had like an 80. I think he was just under Gibson for WAR for his time with the Cardinals, and he only had 11 Cardinal seasons. Well,
correct.
I guess he came back at the end, so he had 12, whatever. But 11 amazing dominant seasons, and then a farewell season basically. So
I don't think anybody can argue your logic with that.
No, actually, that's actually very logical. I think he, if being a Cardinals fan, I think he hits the heart of most Cardinals fans a little more, where he might get that uptick, like an Ozzie Smith hits the heart a little bit. So
got a few of those guys, right?
Yeah.
Those. All right. Well, if we're on number 4, let's see where Jason lands. Right? You haven't kicked us off yet. So.
Okay. So I already showed I'm right in line with Billy. So I'll show my number 2.
Okay.
And don't have a lot of cards for him, obviously. Roger Hornsby. He was my number 1. going into this until I started looking at the numbers, and Stan's not that as much as I knew Stan was an incredible player and how great he was. When I saw the numbers, I'm like, Jiminy Crickets, how is this guy? This is insane. So,
Yeah.
so I have no playing days Roger Hornsby cards. I knew about this episode well in advance, so I went out and bought some bought some cards just to represent my man Roger Hornsby. I actually have one more coming too. It didn't make it in time. And this one I had. This one I had when I was digging through cards. So this is a recent Topps die cut of Hornsby. Let me tell you this. My opinion, and up for debate, probably, in my opinion, the greatest second baseman of all time. When you start to look at numbers and start to look at what he did. And, could be debated. 127 WAR, almost 3,000 hits, 3,930, 300 home runs, 358 batting average. I think I saw twice he was over 400 in his career. I think his last season he was too, but it was only like 6 at bats. Three, but that wasn't like the last season, like 6 at bats or something like that.
No, he had 401, 424, 403.
Okay.
He had a 5-year average of over 400.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane. 2 Triple Crowns, 7 batting titles, 2 MVPs. So, I mean, is it? And I'll get your guys' opinion. Is it off base to say the greatest second baseman of all time? Is that too much? You don't think so, Billy?
No, because who else could it be? Joe Morgan, Rod Carew, Pete Rose, maybe, but Pete Rose played 5 years at second base or something like that. You know what I mean?
Sure. How about you, Aaron? What do you think?
Well, I mean, there's a Mount Rushmore topic.
Right.
Collins, Nap Lajoie.
Yeah.
I mean, they're extremely legit 3,000 hit guys, but I think if you don't put Hornsby first, you're silly.
Right.
I don't see how you wouldn't put him first.
Right.
By a margin.
Sure. So I kicked off that. What did Rogers make your list, Aaron?
Well, you're going to go to me?
Yeah.
Well, good golly. Yeah, he's probably on my list of people I need to do like a show of.
I'm surprised it hadn't been done yet. I know you've got quite a bit. So
yeah, he's one I collect really, really hard. I was trying to figure out some cards I haven't shown maybe often enough or enough, but I feel like I show his stuff quite a bit. Yeah, so also, in addition to he had 2 MVPs, he had a second, a third. I don't know if there was MVP voting before 1924.
I don't know that either. Did it start in 24? I'm not certain, to be honest with you.
He has a second place finish in 24. In 1922, he hit 401 with 250 hits and 42 homers, 152 RBIs, and won a Triple Crown. Had a 10 WAR, and he didn't place. So I'm assuming there was no voting.
Right. You got to, based on those numbers, you got to assume that didn't exist at that point in time.
He'd have to be top 20,
Right.
So really, even throwing out how many becomes almost silly because you have to retroactively say okay, you should have 6 MVPs or something. I don't know. Insane.
Correct.
And they used to have an etiquette where they didn't really want to give it to the same guy twice.
Right. So
you win it once and they're well, it's not polite. Sorry,
Sorry for being so good.
I've got a few, and I tried to pull one from that Triple Crown year, which I believe this one is. So that's a really tough one. 1922, William Patterson. That's another Canadian issue.
Sure.
So
I think I've seen that. You've shown that in the past, haven't you? I think I've seen
I think I sent that one in for grading.
Oh,
so
really?
On my SGC reveal. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't send everything in, but I send in a 1922 Pop 15 Hornsby card. I sent this one in too. That's the old gorgeous. Oxford confectionery.
Got in a 3. That's beautiful.
I bought it thinking it looked nice, and I paid fair enough that it should get a fair grade. So when it came back a 3, that was still a win. But I was like, that comes back with an A. I'm not as good on that. That didn't turn out.
Sweet cards.
Thank you. Yeah, these are. I mean, you pick up some Hornsbys, you're happy. So
that's an exhibit too, right?
Yep. Yeah, 26 to 29 exhibit. Actually, just traded for this one. So I've been kind of scouring the Facebook and just knowing there's a few dealers on there that are fairly open-minded. So I'll just message them and say, hey, I got some stuff. You open, and they've been saying yes.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Butterfinger. Little brutal. Dog got a hold of it at the bottom, but super cool image. Not a bunch of those around.
That's awesome.
And then in R311, I tried to find all stuff with St. Louis as much as I could for him, but
those are bigger than I thought. The R311s. I thought they were almost smaller than that.
Yeah, for proportion's sake, the Butterfingers are 8x10. That's an 8x10 top loader, so it's big.
But in my head, I thought they were almost the size of a Cashin. They're considerably bigger.
Yeah, they're pretty good size. 5x7 maybe.
Okay,
something like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
So now that being said, I've got my 1 through 4 rattled off. So who was your 2, Billy? Because we got your 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah. So my number 2 was tough. I think there are 2 guys that would be neck and neck as far as 1 and 2. And I think really if you flipped either one of them, no one could really argue. But for me, so number 2 is Willie McGee. No, I'm just kidding.
Dang it.
Finally, somebody got right.
My banger of a Rogers Hornsby card, from the 1979 top set.
There
Season batting average leader.
I showed something very similar for Lefty Grove in our last episode. So
now, I have half of a 33 Gowdy, the one where he's fielding, here in the house somewhere, but I'm not going to spend hours looking for half of a card that looks like it's been chewed on the other half. But yeah, so Rogers Hornsby, again, in my opinion, the best second baseman of all time. If I'm not mistaken, the last player in the National League to go over 400. His WAR, I want to say, is about a total point below Stan Musial. Stan
is 128.5. Rogers Hornsby is 127.5 based on baseball.
Did somebody else go over 400 in the National League after Hornsby? I thought he was the last one.
I don't know.
I think Bill Terry did.
Okay.
But Bill Terry was a lefty. He might have been the last righty.
Okay. Or the last one to do it more than once, maybe. I don't remember. There's something
for sure. Yeah. He has so many records. Yeah. He's crazy amazing.
He gets, again, the Musial is kind of the sentimental pick for me because I grew up with stories about Stan the Man, from my dad and grandpa and stuff like that, how great he was. And really my grandpa would have been alive when Hornsby played, but I don't know if he would have been old enough to actually remember. So there's not that nostalgia tied there. But I think just as far as pure stats go, I think really unless you value batting average more, you have to put Musial ahead of Hornsby, just in my opinion.
So prior to doing any research, I mentioned I had Hornsby at 1. And then like I said, I did the research, I saw Musial, and then I flipped someone out and put in Gibson at 4. So I was on the edge of putting in someone that but after doing the research, I'm like, I can't. And I actually put and I actually had this discussion. I have a friend of mine who I work with, and I told him I was doing this episode, and he said, obviously Gibson's in there. I said, no, he's not in my top 4. Before I did any research, he's like, how is Bob Gibson not in your top 4? I'm like, you'll just have to watch and see, but he's not there. But he actually is now. So yeah.
So I would say the one thing with Hornsby where I penalized him slightly is that he had good seasons with other teams. So it's kind of the same Bob Gibson Pujols thing for me is his WAR with the Cardinals was 90 something, not his career WAR. So I did
what
a
horrible team WAR, 90 something.
Right. Yeah. When you're in the 90s and you also hit, 360 for another team for a few years, that's pretty amazing. But I would say that I'll go even maybe loftier than best second baseman. I put Hornsby as the best right-handed hitter. That's going to make some people mad. But
Well, and you could say that probably for a decade he was the best player in the National League.
oh yeah,
Best right-handed hitter of all time.
call me crazy, but
Well, no. You know what? In doing the numbers, it was again. I was a little floored at the numbers. I knew he was incredible. I didn't know he was that incredible.
well, here's
That'd be a good Mount Rushmore because I'm in my head. I got 2 or 3 right off the top of my head.
I know I'm gonna get Willie Mays hate and stuff, but I mean if you
Right.
look at age 24 up to age 33, his WARs were 9-6, 10-8, 10-1, 6-8, 12-1, 10-2, 4-4. What was he doing? 10-2, 8-9, and 10-6.
12 WAR. He had over 12 WAR in one season, right? I thought I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He had 6 seasons over 10.
That's insane. That's
And-
insane.
I mean, his career batting average is what, 351 or something like that? Like,
358. Yeah.
where does he set as far as all-time ranks for career batting average go? Like,
For MLB, without adding in, I feel like the Negro League statistics, they're still trying to, I see it different on different sites. So that I can't speak intelligently to, but MLB, I think he's second. I think Joe Jackson is 356, which sometimes gets counted, sometimes doesn't. But I think he's just behind Cobb.
Okay.
So, kind of crazy.
yeah.
That's nuts.
But he kind of gets, not that he's forgotten about, but I really do think in the Pantheon, he's a little bit underrated. I really do.
Based on his stats, I would agree with that. You were saying earlier, Billy, that there really is not a Cardinals player that's not overpriced. They're all seem to be underpriced, and he was the first one in my head. I'm like, he's a little overpriced, but in comparison to Cobb or with substantial numbers, he's much cheaper, much cheaper.
Yeah.
He's almost on that Musial level of affordability in comparison to the players of his era who are the superstars. So
Yeah.
that's crazy.
His career OPS plus was 175.
Jesus. That's crazy.
120, 130 is like Hall of Fame, right?
Right. That's ridiculous.
He was 1 3/4 player.
Right.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So were those your 4, Aaron? Billy and I were right in line. Were those your 4?
We win. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no disputing it.
Well, then we're 100% correct. So now it's now we get to have real fun because you can show whatever you want. Honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Billy, kick us off with an honorable mention.
Who?
You go ahead, kick us off with whoever you want.
Okay, so real quick though,
Yeah.
I told you it was a no-brainer, right? The top 4, and I really do believe that. Like, once you do the research or these players, like to me, it's unquestionable. Like there are others that you could throw in, and we'll get to them, right? Honorable mentions. We're blessed as Cardinals fans. I believe there are 17 players in the Hall of Fame as St. Louis Cardinals. There's Ducky Medwick and Frankie Fritsch and Johnny Mize and some tremendous players that I don't have as honorable mentions because I don't have any of those cards,
Sure.
right? But to start off the honorable mentions, I'll go with one that when he started, we were told he was going to be like the greatest player in the history of baseball. And he didn't quite live up to that hype, but he was still really good, and that's Todd Zeile. No. Once again, I'm kidding.
That was a hot card when I was like 12, though. That was desirable. Right?
Yeah,
there.
you
that
sold
was
that
a
one a
big
little
one.
bit better until you said his name.
So you have to go with Ozzie Smith as an honorable mention. How can you not?
Yep.
I think maybe if you go to the top 5, that maybe you find a spot for Ozzie Smith, but that could leave some room for debate maybe. But
I'm right there with you. He was 4 on my list until I did the research, and he would be, and statistically not overwhelming by any stretch of the imagination. Fantastic fielder. I've got a bunch of his cards. Here's a Slurpee disc. I love these things. And then the next probably 10 cards that I'm going to rattle off came from my friend Billy Ballgame as a gift, and just substantially loaded me up for my Ozzy collection. So I've got a whole stack of them here. And I won't go too crazy. I literally this is what I have. I just showed you about 6. That's what I have in my hand. And Billy sent me about this. And I'm like, oh God. So I was gonna take them all. I'm like, no one wants to look at 700 Ozzy Gang cards. So
If my man cave wasn't such a mess, you could see my Aussies back there. You can see some of them sticking out.
right. So I mean, I think I think he hit the heart of a lot of Cardinals fans. My first recollection of baseball was not as a White Sox fan. It was the '82 Cardinals. That was the first team I really remember as a kid. Would have put me at about 9 years old. I remember the World Series. I remember, when the Brewers were in the American League. I've got some memorabilia from it. My dad used to travel to St. Louis, Missouri quite a bit for work when I was that age. So he would come back with memorabilia and fun stuff. And shame on me. I was going to I have a Stan Musial autograph. I didn't even take that out yet. But some of the things my dad had gotten, and that's what got me into being a Cardinals fan. Everybody thought I was a Cub hater because I was a White Sox fan and a Cardinals fan. But the reality is I was a Cardinals fan first. But my dad grew up on the South Side, hence being a White Sox fan as well. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's one of my many honorable mentions. I'll let you roll, Aaron.
Yeah, no, same thing. I pulled a couple. Obviously, growing up in that era, that's you get some cool Aussies. I was feeling bad because my two favorite Aussie cards are Padres cards, but of course that's a super cool one. That's the '79 Hostess, and then I did get the Family Fun Center, which is, I will say, that's way bigger than expected too.
Yes, and that's pricey. That's a pricey card.
It can get there, which mine's ungraded, so I don't know where it would fall. But I mean, size-wise, that thing's the same. It's a little bit bigger than an actual slabbed regular size card. So
right,
big. It's bigger than I thought.
Amazing. A little bit reminiscent to me of the Hires root beer.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that like wood grain.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good call.
We'll let you roll with. So pick another one, Aaron. Who else did you have?
I will. Well, I mean, we could fire off a few. The one I said earlier that I think could be the only Cardinals player that might be labeled as overpriced or high priced or something of that nature. Oh, wow. And that's Dizzy Dean. Yeah. Interesting thing, and he's even got like little starting lineups and all the fun stuff, but Dizzy Dean this is crazy. He played, I think, 6 years for the Cardinals. He only played like 11 or 12 total seasons. And really, once he left the Cardinals, he was a shell of who he was. Right. This is gonna hurt us for our White Sox Mount Rushmore. But his 6 years with the Cardinals, his WAR was 0.5 higher than Harold Baines' entire career. That's a good 6 years. That's not a complete diss.
Let me just tell you, don't ever disdain Harold Baines like that again.
I'm not trying. I was trying to pull things that weren't just like the Gaudies, because that's about all we ever get to see. This is a really neat one. I love that thing. That's awesome. So that's a 1934 gold medal flower.
Okay. That's I don't think I've ever seen that, to be honest.
And it's like postcard size. Yeah, there's a few of them out there, but I mean, at any given time, there's maybe one for sale. It's not a lot. I just snagged an exhibit. That's a fun one too.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So I like that one a lot. And then I showed you this one before when we were talking Dizzy's, but the R311, that's the glossy instead of the leather. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Nice big monster. Yeah.
That is very cool.
So I'll throw Dizzy at you.
That's a perfect one. I will throw. What am I going to throw at you? Well, I'll throw two at you because one I only have one card on, and the other one I have a couple. I'll throw my man Ducky.
Nice.
At you. 36 wide pen, 36 Gotti wide pen. Actually, 37, 36. I always mix up the Appling. The Appling's the 37. The Ducky's the 36. Last National League player, which I didn't know until I had the card, to hit the Triple Crown. And I couldn't believe that. And I said, "Is that?" I think I asked you. I'm like, "Is that right, Aaron?" I think so. That blew my mind. No one's done it since.
Yeah.
So I plan on building on his collection a little bit more. I know you're friends with him, Billy, and Aaron, you know him as well. Joe Redneck Collector picked up one of the Dixie. I think it's the Dixie premiums, and I think him and I were both looking at that exact premium because they have 2 hole punches, and there's a little hole that one of them was ripped, and he was looking at this wide pen. We were both looking at the cards at the same time. I got this, and he got the Dixie Premium. So that was kind of cool. The one guy I will mention, you know, I think a lot of people, you know, he's kind of got a rap of not being the nicest guy in the world when you start to hear some of the personal issues. But Hall of Famer, 1948 Bowman, Enos Slaughter. I've got his 51 Bowman here. You know, pretty solid Hall of Famer. One of those second tier level Hall of Famers that you can get at a decent price. This was purchased at the Columbus show with Billy, and I got it graded. This is my 33 Bowman color.
Nice.
Love it. A kneeling card for Don Field of Dreams. And then this is the card. He's actually not even with the Cardinals, but with the Kansas City A's and part of my 56 Hall of Fame run. So
Nice.
solid career. There are things that have been said about him that might not make him the nicest guy in the world. I don't know how relative those are or not. I haven't dug into the research enough to know if that's true or not. But I do know, you know, when you start to dig into some of the things that people say Ty Cobb was all about isn't really the case. So I don't know if that's the case with Enos or not. But, you know, so great, good numbers. I actually did look up his numbers. Good numbers if you're, you know, I mean, just a solid, quote-unquote, 2-tier Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Did you pull any others, Billy? Did you pull sliders or anything like that?
I mean, I can go all night if you want. I mean,
yeah.
I have more.
Let it
I
rip.
have guys that I could put up there that I didn't even pull if you really want me to.
Well, I will say I did pull a Slaughter, just the 55 rodeo meets, just to get something a little bit different. But I only had one other one that I was really going to necessarily show. I mean, we talked Frankie Frisch and some of those guys, but the only other one that I thought was close, and I know it's just really more for conversation's sake. No one's going to bump those top 4. I think those top 4 have to be the right answer.
Right. I agree.
But if you're going to say, like, what's your next few, this guy gets no love. But it's a cool card. It's Bob Carruthers.
Yeah, I don't know much about Bob Carruthers.
That's what I was getting ready to say. He played in the 1800s, and he's not King Kelly, and nobody knows who the hell he is.
Right.
Yeah, and he's a fringe. So it's funny you say that, because I know there's going to be, you know, if a Mangini or an Orlando watches this, they'll be like, oh my gosh, Bob Carruthers, he should be in the Hall of Fame. His career WAR is like 50, 58, 59. What's interesting, he pitched for 9 years, only about half for St. Louis. His pitching WAR was like 44, but his hitting WAR was another like 14.
Wow.
They said he was Ohtani before Ohtani, and Ruth
I was
before
just going to say, Carruthers was the Ohtani of the era.
Yeah, his OPS plus was like 130 something. He was like a legit good hitter, and he also won 40 games in 2 different seasons. So, you know, different era. He was like 215 and like 99 or something. Okay. So good pitcher, ERA in the 2s, but in an era when you started 58 games and finished 55 of them, kind of thing. So it's
right, but still pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, his career WAR, like, he's one that I do hear, like, maybe he'll get on the ballot and he'll be another person that no one's heard of. And he has 2 cards that you can choose from, but that was one of the reasons I snagged that one.
That's actually a good call. There is somebody on the ballot right now that should be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. But I don't think he's going to get the love that others are getting for the guy. What are they calling them now? The Golden Age ballot? I think it's the Golden Age. And I guess might as well show, right? So, Ken Blair, 55, Topps rookie. Yep. So, gotta have it. 56. I'll do the 56, and then we all know I have to show one of these, even though it geeks out my camera every time I do it. It's my Aurora Vision, so got to show that. But yeah, I pulled him. I pulled a couple others. I mean, if you want to show another one, Billy, I don't want to steal any thunder.
No, and there were a lot more that I could have shown again if I had cards. Like, I don't even have an Enos Slaughter right now. I had a 54 Bowman that I traded to Chris a while back, but Another guy that I did pull that kind of just shows you how WAR doesn't tell the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Lou Brock.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Brock's WAR for his career is like 40 something, right? But 3,000 hits, all-time stolen base record holder until a guy named Ricky Henderson came along and broke it. But I really think that, and Chris and I were talking about this recently, I really do think that a big reason why Lou Brock's WAR is so low is because he was a terrible outfielder defensively, especially later in his career. So he lost a lot of WAR defensively.
But a great he was a solid bat and fantastic on the base paths. Obviously, he was definitely one I pulled. He's actually, and again, people are going to think I'm a Cubs hater. He's actually one of my favorite Cardinals, and it's not because he went from the Cubs to the Cardinals, but I think he's so under. Again, I guess we're proving your point, Billy. You've said there are so many Cardinals players that are undervalued, and he's another one that is ridiculously undervalued. So much. I pulled a bunch of his stuff, but I got that off of Sammy Thunder. I think I bought that off of Sammy, and then my only graded one, believe it or not, is a 66. So, but fabulous player. We showed Boyer. I got there's so many. I pulled. I think the last one I'll show is.
I just pulled 2, but it's just so funny how we never pulled the same cards.
Yeah, you're like you got the 67.
I think we showed his whole run practically.
right, and I didn't show either of those.
Yeah,
the last guy I'll show needs a little bit of recognition. Again, pulling on the heartstrings of the Cardinal fans. A second tier. That's a great card, Billy. I need to get that. I love that card.
Yeah.
A quote unquote second tier Hall of Famer, but just a huge part of that organization for a long, long time. So I think he needs to be recognized as such, as a true Cardinal. So,
yeah.
Those 52s in landscape are gorgeous. I love
the Johnny Mize is a cool one. The red is actually, you know what else is and I love my guy, Trim Waller. That's a great card. 52 tops.
The Hodges too.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think we covered it, right? We snuck in all the honorable mentions. I saved my Keith Hernandez's and Vince Coleman's for another time, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I think we came to a consensus. So we have the right answer of who the greatest 4 Cardinals are of all time, and I don't think that anyone can argue with it.
That's a given. That's a given. Every time we do the show, that's a given. So 100, we are 100% correct, and there is no arguing. So
if they say otherwise, their opinion is wrong.
Correct. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Perfection.
Yes.
Well done. Thank you so much for joining us, Billy. That was fun. I'm glad we're all like-minded. That's for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. As soon as I saw your first episode, I was like, you guys please have me on for the Cardinals because this is awesome.
That was a given. So that was a given. So absolute blast. Heck yeah, guys. And we'll chat again most certainly and cross paths virtually and in real life. So I'm certain of that. So thanks for jumping on, Billy. I do appreciate it though.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me. I appreciate it. I had a blast.
All right, sir. We'll let you close it out, Aaron. We'll call it a night.
All right. Yeah. Thanks again, Billy. And we will catch everyone on the next episode. I think if you have any disagreements or thoughts, please put it in the comments and we'll let you know if you're correct or not, if you agree with us. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Mount Rushmore Show.
Thanks, everybody.
See y'all.